Hey, good afternoon, Scouts. It is Cub Master Ben, and you'll notice that there's a lot of room behind me. And the reason for that is today we're going to talk about layers and staying warm in the cold weather. And all this is a build-up because I am getting ready to go on an adventure with my troop and some Scouts. We're going to the Philmont Scout Reservation in Cimarron, New Mexico for an awesome weekend of cold weather adventures. And when I get back, guys, I'm gonna have lots to show you, so stay tuned for that here in a couple weeks. But for this week, I wanna talk about cold weather and how you layer appropriately to stay warm when it's cold out, all right? So here we go. Hey guys, it is Cub Master Ben. Like I said, we're here to talk about cold weather and staying warm in the cold weather. And so we're going to talk about layers, why we use layers to stay warm, and what if we get too hot while we're outside, what we can do to help take care of staying comfortable and still staying warm, all right? So the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about our base layer. You know what we're talking about obviously is our underwear, okay? And sometimes a t-shirt, sometimes not. So for us, my family and I, what we do is our base layers go on first, okay? And these are just real thin undergarments, right? These are called polypropylene. These work really well because you do sweat and get wet sometimes in the snow and ice, so these dry really fast, right? So these go on, okay? These go on our legs over our underwear, and then we have our top that's long sleeve, and it goes on right next to our skin, okay? And this is the first layer we use. And so what this does is when you put this on, this starts to keep the body heat closer to your body and kind of gives you insulation, so to speak, right? It insulates you against the cold. It helps keep the wind and the wet from getting directly to your skin and cooling you off, all right? So step two, what is our step two? So at this point, most people know. For me, what I'm gonna do is if that's enough and it's not real cold or it's not real windy, that's gonna be the end of my layers, and I'm gonna start putting on my regular clothes, right? Now let's just say that it's super cold outside, right? So my next layers are gonna be real simple. I will either use a hoodie or a sweatshirt or a jacket, or I also own a heavy layer of insulation, a heavy layer, and you'll notice that it's got this unique pattern inside that's called a waffle pattern. And the reason we use a waffle pattern is as I warm up each one of these spots, right? That's a lot of warm spots being against me, okay? So it's keeping warmer inside this than my body trying to heat the whole thing at once. Instead, it's heating a lot of little places at once. And I know that sounds crazy, but it works really, really well. So again, I've got a top and a bottom, okay? And now this will go directly over my first layer, all right? And this will go over my t-shirt if I have one on, right? Or it'll go over my first layer. So I put my t-shirt on. It's normally a moisture wicking t-shirt or a real thin t-shirt. So as I start to sweat, again, it kind of keeps that moisture off my body, okay? So I've got my heavy layer here. Now, the next layer we need to talk about, right? We said we might have a jacket on, okay? The next layer we're gonna talk about is our actual clothes. So for most people, they've got their t-shirt on already under their heavy layer. So now we're gonna put on our final outside layer of pants. For me, for my outside layer, okay? And for everybody, guys, jeans don't work well, sweatpants don't work well. And you're like, but Mr. Ben, I love my sweatpants. I know you do, guys. But what you need is a pair of pants that's not gonna get wet and stay wet. And you need a pair of pants that's not going to freeze if it gets wet, but also something that can help kind of break the wind and stop the wind from cooling you off too much, right? And so those are called wind pants. You might know them as ski pants or snow pants. And I've got a pair of snow pants one of my Scouts wears I'm gonna show you here in a second. But for me, it is these pants, okay? And these are just simple cooler weather hiking pants that I bought. They've got the neat little zip off so I can wear them in summer too. But you know, we've got that going on, so we're gonna put these on over the top of our heavy layer, all right? Now, we did say, hey, what about snow pants? So we do have snow pants to show you. They're kind of like a pair of overalls, right? They go all the way down a little long in the leg to cover the boots. So we've got this, right? And they just get to jump in this, zip it up, and this covers everything from about the middle of their chest all the way down to their shoes, okay? So on top of that, we're gonna put on our coat. All right, so this may be different kind of coats, different kind of people, right? I have this nice flannel insulated coat. It's nice and heavy. It's nice and warm. I actually wore it this past week. We had a bunch of snow and ice and some super cold weather, so I got a chance to get it back out of the closet and rock it out, and it's going to Philmont. And I don't have my hood on it right now because I need to wash it. So you would put the hood on, okay? Make sure your hood covers completely, right? So you'll see that once I put this on, if I buckle it, right, it's going to completely cover the sides, the back of my head, and my neck, okay? So now what about the rest of our head? You know, what about our face and the top of our head? That's real easy. Hold on. All right, so we've got two things. One, we have our hat, okay? Have a stocking cap. Any stocking cap will work. Just something that when you put it on, you get it on here, right? You want it to cover your head and your ears if you can, okay? So you want it to be nice and snug, all right? Again, any material works. They do have a polypropylene liner for these you can wear, and that's fine. I wear this because I normally don't have my hood on unless it's super windy, and then I'll put my hood on, or if it's snowing, I'll put my hood on to help cover this up because this likes to get wet and soak up a lot of sweat and moisture. Now, the other part of our cover that we're going to talk about here. All right, so next thing we're going to talk about here is called I think it's the word is a balaclava, or a neck and face covering, right? So we have these. I actually have these. I really like these. They just like a giant tube, right? A stretchy material. They are, again, that fancy polypropylene material. And all that word means, guys, is it's thin, but it doesn't stay wet if it gets wet, right? So these are real cool, real fancy. Hey, look, I'm a worm. Right? And we can do a couple things with these. So we'll put them just like this. Right? And then it sits under our stocking cap. You can wear these a bunch of different ways. I know guys that wear them like this. Right? I've seen people, they take them and they make them into like a little helmet, and they kind of fold it over their nose, their mouth, their eyeball areas, right? So they end up like this, and that's perfectly fine. However you wear it, that's comfortable, and it's covering all this, mainly right here, because you got your hat, your hood on, right? All your warm clothes. If you have nothing covering your neck, that's going to cover your neck and your face, and that's going to help prevent things like sunburn, windburn, and also help keep those areas covered so that they don't get frostbitten or anything like that. All right, next thing we're going to talk about is gloves. So you have a couple different types of gloves, and I cannot find my lightweight pair right now. So you have glove liners, right? And they go inside they go on your hands, right? And they go inside your regular gloves. And then, so you're going to put those on if you have them. And normally you'll see there's like a small, thin, maybe a cottony, kind of fluffy pair of gloves. Nothing crazy, right? And then you have all kinds of different layers of gloves on top of that. So my family, we have just, normal gloves. We get these from the store, and we keep them clean, keep them dry, of course, right? And you just put them on, and these straps actually are supposed to tighten down, right? And so you'll put this on, and then you'll put your coat on and button your sleeve down tight over this, right, to help keep snow from getting into your gloves, help keep your fingerprints warm, all right? So we're going to get those on, and so we have our gloves, all right? Now, I think that's about everything, and we need to talk about socks and shoes real quick. All right, guys, so like I said, we're going to talk about feet. Okay, so first thing is socks. So socks in just normal cold weather, right? Not nothing super cold or super wet. Just put your regular socks on that you would hike with. Something goes up over your ankles and maybe goes a little bit up your leg, okay? Something comfortable. And then you're going to put on heavier socks. When it gets super cold, you're going to wear wool socks, okay? I have thermal socks. I think most people in my family, I think we all have thermal socks at this point, or wool socks, right, that we wear. So because we're going to New Mexico, we're going to be out in the extreme cold all day at Philmont. I'm taking some special boots, right? So these are extreme cold weather boots that I have, right? And they have actually been recently treated with water-resistant spray, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then I have these awesome liners that look kind of like slippers, right? Now you can get these for kids or adults, and they're a great tool to have. And what these do, right, is you put these in here, and you just tuck them down in your boots, and then you wear your socks, right? And you put your feet in these boots with these liners, and it helps keep your feet warm and dry while you're outside. Now, these boots are leather, so they don't dry that easy, So I do take 2 pairs of boots with me just in case, all right? The other thing that's nice about this is if they do happen to get wet, or if I'm going in the cabin or the tent for the night, right, and I want to keep my toes warm, I just pull my foot with my boot liner out, and I keep this on kind of like a slipper for around my sleeping area. And if I need to go back outside, I put my boots back on, right? So we did mention keeping everything dry. So all you need is a good waterproofer spray, a good waterproofing spray of any kind, something that you can spray down your equipment and help it keep from getting wet. Now, it's not going to repel all moisture, right? You might still get a little wet, but its main job is if it's raining or if you're walking through the snow, right, for the water to kind of shunt off my shoes rather than gather and soak in and help me stay warmer and more dry. Again, guys, there's a ton of equipment out there. It's your preference. It's what your mom and dad or maybe your unit says to use, or just what you prefer. And there are all kinds of tools out there to stay warm. There's hand warmers. There's warm beverages. Eat good. Most importantly, if we're going to talk about being in the cold and staying warm, right, we got to talk about water. So make sure you drink lots of water because you're going to sweat. Now, what do we do, Mr. Ben? I've been outside, I've been sledding and playing in the snow for 3 hours. I'm sweating my tuchus off. What do? How do I cool down so I'm getting too hot? Take off a layer. Now, I'm not saying get everything off and then take off your bottom layer. No, leave your layers on. But like if I'm getting too hot, I'm going to take my big black coat off, right? I still have layers underneath it to protect me. I have a fleece lined jacket that I wear if that's too much. Right? And it's all about those layers, staying comfortable with your layers and making sure you don't get overheated or too cold. Now, the other thing we need to discuss real quick, of course, is having fun in the snow. And the only way to really have fun is a good old-fashioned snowball fight. Everybody knows that. Snowball fights are by far excellent. So, go have some snowball fights, guys. Our snow, unfortunately, is melting, but we did have a good snowball fight the other day. And we went sledding for a bunch the other day. It was super fun. So, stay warm, guys. Stay comfortable. Make sure your equipment's dry. Give it a chance to hang up and dry overnight when you're done for the day. And keep it washed, right? Follow the rules that the tags have on it for washing. Keep them washed. Keep them dry. And, yeah. So, kind of like Frosty the Snowman, guys. I'm going to melt my way out of here and head back to the fun. And I'll see you guys in warmer weather. This is Cub Master Ben. Have fun. Don't get frozen. Stay dry. I'm out.